Welcome back to the How to Get a Guy in 10 Ways podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Markham.
And I'm your host, Danielle Hanlon.
And today we're bringing our first guest on this podcast. We are beyond excited because we have Jackie Dorman, who's a matchmaker extraordinaire, I would say. She has successfully matched over 1,600 couples, and I can't even comprehend that number. So, Jackie, would you tell us just a little bit about yourself? Anything you feel like we should know about you?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. It's fun to be here. It's fun to talk to a younger crowd. I usually get invited to talk to older people. And so I love being able to talk to younger folks because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so just getting it right the first time and, getting on the right path is important. And so I am a mom. I'm a wife. I have 3 adult children. I have 2 twin grandbabies that are almost 3 years old. We are a blended family. So my husband and I, we've been married for 18 years. And so we are a second marriage for 18 years now. And we love our blended family, and family is everything to us. I own a business called Last Year Single, and I help people get married, specifically people of faith. And it's been very rewarding. Like you said, we've had 1,600 plus success stories. I haven't match made all of those. I do match make. I am a professional matchmaker, but every one of those success stories have had success from being in our program, from meeting someone in our program, from the teaching and coaching that we do in our program, and for helping them to move their love story forward. I have always been the matchmaker ever since I was a kid. So I was the girl that you would give the note to at school to go give to your crush and try to figure out whether or not, he liked you. I have always been the wing woman, and I helped 15 of my friends get married. And so I was like, hey, I have a gift, and I want to use that gift to help specifically people of faith get married because they seem to struggle more than anybody else as far as not being able to meet each other, not being able to figure out what to do when they meet each other. I wasn't raised in faith or in the church, and so I didn't come into faith until I was in my 20s. And so I had a lot of experience, meeting the opposite sex or dating outside of a faith context. And so I wanted to help people get out of their own way because I think in a faith context, a lot of times there's a lot of weird rules that just shouldn't be there and a lot of things that keep people stuck. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. We celebrate 5 years, October 26th, and it's just been super rewarding.
Wow, thank you for that, Jackie. So you shared kind of a little bit of even how you got into this. So I'm going to jump into our next question. We hear the sentiment often that dating seems harder right now. That's what we're hearing from our friends, kind of what we're seeing online. Do you think that it is a harder time to date? Is that what you're seeing? What do you see that's going on?
Yeah, I do think it is just across the board for everybody, not just specifically for Christians. I think that people have gotten lazy with relationship. I think that we've gotten into some bad habits of isolation. There's a thing called attachment theory out there, attachment style theory. I think that more and more and more people are avoidant to the work that you have to put in to be in a relationship. I think a lot of people are so distracted, and there's so many options now as far as getting that bucket filled. Even people scrolling, people saying, "Oh, I'm introverted," but the problem is that you're scrolling on social media every day, and your social battery is getting depleted. Even though you're not in proximity to those people, the emotions that are coming through their stories and their videos and the things that are happening are if you just went to, a huge mixer and talked to 15 people. So it's a situation where people are getting lazier. But back in the olden days, let's say the olden days, let's make it the 80s, you couldn't meet anyone unless you went out of your house. You weren't going to meet anyone in your house. So people went out. Young people went to the movies. They went to roller rinks. They went to malls. They went to dances. They went places and they met people. And that is what we call in our program community-based matchmaking. So if we want the good old days and the new ways, if we want to put those together, people are going to have to put more effort in. So I think that is the one thing that makes it harder.
Yeah, I mean, we even talked about this on a previous episode, but Gen Z is currently the most single generation. So one of our listeners sent in this question, and I just thought it was really good. It was very specific to her. And then I kind of said, yeah, what she's really asking is, how can singles find out what has exactly been keeping them single?
Well, and it's different for everyone. And like you said, Gen Z is the most single generation, but the oldest of Gen Z right now is only 28 years old. So it's okay, kind of maybe if they're single, right? Because they're still in the discovery phase of life. But the millennials are the people I'm more worried about because the youngest of them is almost 30 years old and the oldest of them is in their mid 40s. And they are the most single generation in all of history since the census, since 1860. They are 59% single and they're supposed to be 70% single. Statisticians have said they're going to be 70% single that generation. So we still have some hope for Gen Z because they're not aged out yet. Like, not that you're too old if you're a millennial, but these kids are still in college. Some of them are still in high school. So let's see what happens with them. But the millennials, I'm like, hey, we got to light a fire into them. We got to figure out, why are they stuck? And so a lot of the reasons why they're stuck are just they were just born during a time when a lot of different moving pieces were happening. So we have dating apps, which actually 70% of couples are still meeting on some kind of technology. I don't know if you guys know that. And that actually took the place of what used to be 70% of people meeting through friends and family and in person. So that's happening over here, but not as many people. So 70% of people that are meeting are still meeting this way, but it's not as many people that were meeting before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons why people are single is because they're farming out everything to technology instead of doing it themselves. Once again, they're not making the effort that they need to make. They're wanting something else to be the magic bullet, whether it's a dating app, whether it's, some course or class or whatever it is that they're doing. It's important for people to get down to the revealing for healing in themselves and ask themselves, hey, what's standing in the way of me meeting someone? What do I need to do differently? Do I need to get out more? Do I need to get off the apps and stop swiping? It's not going anywhere, and get out in person? Do I need to stop being afraid of my shadow? Do I need to do some heart work and forgive and make space for people because I don't trust people? Like, what is it for me? That's what people need to ask themselves.
That's so good and so helpful, I think, for the audience that's going to listen to this. And so, besides some of the things you mentioned that help figuring out why you might be single, what other maybe big mistakes do you see singles making? Maybe entering dating or how they think about dating? What are kind of some, they don't have to be red flags, but kind of some things that maybe people need to shift their perspective?
I think one of the biggest myths that people come into dating with is that if it's the right person, it's going to be easy. And I just don't see that, not even with a younger
That's
crowd
good.
that's your audience. I know that they
Hmm.
maybe have less baggage than their older counterparts, but it's just not easy to live in this world. Culture is just full of all kinds of disconnection and pain and suffering, and we see it everywhere. And whether people know it or not, we've become less trustful of other people. We don't put ourselves out there. We have experienced a lot of rejection by the time we're out of school. We've experienced a lot of trauma. Everybody suffers. And so in order for us to really make a connection with someone else that's going to become an intimate, into me you see connection, we have to be able to open up. We have to be able to make space. And so it's not going to be easy. It just needs to be worth it. And a lot of people, because there's so much TikTok psychology out there, they're like, oh, well, they're a narcissist, or they don't have boundaries, or they have all this information. And all of that information is information of disconnection. It's not information of connection. All those things are more reasons why we need to be ultra careful and make sure that we don't end up with the wrong person. And what that creates is what I call relationship OCD, where we're just constantly having intrusive, obsessive thoughts about this not being the right one, or I'm making a mistake, or what do I really not know about them? What are they hiding from me? Instead of being able to have a clear heart lens and just take it one day, one date at a time, and just allow yourself to get to know someone and understand that not all flags are red. Some are yellow. And in fact, everybody has yellow flags. Everyone. You have yellow flags. I have yellow flags. We all have things that we're still working on. And if people are not willing to make connection and even relationship with people that are still in process, then there's nobody else.
I love how you're mentioning heart work because, and I'd love if you would just expound on that a little bit more because we have listeners writing in saying, well, I'm looking for the one, how do I have a last relationship? And a lot of it goes back to just having a healthy dating mindset, not jumping ahead of ourselves. So, what do you mean by do the heart work and how do you do that with clients?
Well, it's part of our proprietary protocol. It's actually called Heart Work. That is our brand. And it's the first phase of Last Year Single because very often, whatever people think is the problem, like you asked me, what's keeping people single, whatever they think is the problem is usually not the problem. It's usually just a symptom or a fruit of the real problem. And so, heart work is just simply looking at the fruit and getting to the root. That's really what it is. And it's been around for about 15 years, and it wasn't always just used for single people. It was used for all people because all people need to do heart work. But people need to really be willing to see what they're not seeing. We call it the revealing for healing. And it is a very supernatural process. It's not always a fun process, but it is a very shifting process.
That makes sense. And we will also link resources from Jackie in our show notes and her website and things if you're interested in hearing more from her. So just know that that will be there. But Jackie, what would you say to people who maybe feel like they're tempted to settle or they've missed out if they weren't married or in a relationship as young as they hope to be? Some of our listeners, Jenny and I specifically went to a Christian school. And this was one of the big attitudes we both noticed. If like you did not have your ring by spring or married by graduation, where are you going to meet this guy? Are they all going to be, married by the time you get in the church? And so it kind of caused people maybe to feel tempted to just be like, oh, I'm going to lock someone down because I'm so afraid that I'm going to graduate. There's going to be no one. What would you say to those people?
Well, I would say that this is not a decision that you want to rush into, right? You don't want to try to do it as young as possible. And I work with clients all the time that thought that they were going to be married in their 20s and now they're in their 40s. But also, if they're being honest with themselves, they see that there were a lot of things that they prioritized besides relationship. And I don't just mean romantic relationship, I mean getting good at relationship, getting good at, connection and, being intentional about making space in your life. Because I do believe we can have it all, but I don't think we can have it all at the same time. And so if you're in college and you're working on, your assignment in life, whatever that career is, and you're doing those things, and, you're also trying to have relationship that you hope is going to become, a marriage, for some people that happens. But people need to understand that that doesn't happen for everyone that way. And it's okay if it doesn't happen. But when you get to a season of life where you really feel like, I want to prioritize this, that's always a sign to me that it's probably time for you. And so it's not really about settling because let's just face it, dust settles. We settle court cases. Relationships are not really where we use the word settle. Are you going to have to compromise? 100%. Are you going to have to get rid of your unrealistic expectations and lists that, are born out of fairy tales and rom-coms? 100%. Are you going to have to partner with someone who's not perfect? Yes. Will he be less than 6 feet tall? Probably, because all men are 5'8". And so you're just going to have to get over this stuff if you're going to partner. And so that's where maturity comes in. And some people need to be a little bit more mature before they partner. And that's okay.
I love that. All men are 5'8". I'm just kidding.
They are. They're all 5'8". I'm 5'10", and my husband's 5'8". If I can marry a short king, so can you. So
There you go.
yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Right. I think the biggest mistake I see them making is just continuing to live in these unrealistic expectations because it's a block and it will keep you from seeing the love that's right in front of you. It really will. You know what I'm seeing happen a lot in this year in 25. So I had a word, a divine download at the beginning of the year that this was going to be a year of full circle moments. And so many people are running back into someone that they met 5 years ago, 5 months ago, for some people 20 years ago, and they didn't even give them a second look or a chance back then, and now they're getting married to them. And so it's like, interesting. And so the maturity process that's happened in that 5 months or 5 years or 20 years, obviously, life has really changed for them. But I feel like we can get there quicker, where we're taking off all these blind spots and filters and understanding really that marriage is about assignment and it's about connection, for lineage and legacy. This is, you're going to be your best friend. This is going to be your partner. It's going to be the person that, you collaborate with and your co-conspirator. This is what this relationship is about. It's not just about, the feelings and the butterflies and all that. Yeah, sure, have that during your infatuation stage. But for some people, infatuation only lasts a few months. And scientifically, it can't last more than 14 months. And so you got to have something else to build on. And I think that not getting rid of them, continuing to live by them and decide by them is the biggest mistake I see.
Wow. Thanks, Jackie. When
You're
you are
welcome.
thinking about dating and entering the dating pool, what advice would you give to singles? Is it to do online and in person at the same time? Is it to focus in one of those areas? What would you recommend to people who are like, I want to get out there, I just am paralyzed and I don't know how?
Well, get a coach. I mean, you would get a coach in any area that you're not doing well in, right? Coaching is a big thing. So you would get a coach at the gym, we call them trainers. You would get a coach in business. If you were building a business, you would get a coach in any area of your life, a health coach if you had health problems. And so get a coach. If you really feel like you have no experience whatsoever and you don't know what to do, then get a coach. And if you do have some experience and you know enough to be dangerous, then I would say, just give anything a try. Don't just be like, "Oh, well, I'm only going to do this thing and if it doesn't work, then God must not have anyone for me." Well, that's silly talk, right? So, I really love in-person connection, but technology can help you get in person. So my newest book is coming out called Modern Dating Sucks. And it is really about how, if we farm everything out to technology, that's going to be a fail. But if we use technology, like people are so scared of AI right now, it's going to take my job. Well, it's only going to take your job if you don't learn how to harness it and use it yourself, right? Use it to better yourself and use it to get things done faster, use it. It's a tool. And so dating apps are a tool. They're not, they're not the thing. They're not your source. They're a resource. And so use them to get in person and pick the ones that do the most of that. Like I have a partnership with a dating app right now that does a lot of blind speed dating and in-person events. Like use something like that. But the most important thing that you can have as a single is extended community. I believe in the 6 degrees of separation. Some people call it the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. I don't know if your audience is even old enough to know who Kevin Bacon is.
I've never
Just
heard
think
of
the
that.
first Footloose movie
Okay.
before they remade it, and the remake is
Okay.
terrible. Okay, everything was better in the 80s. Okay, so it's just the premise that everyone is 6 people away from knowing everyone in the whole world. And now that there's 8+ billion people, I think that number's smaller. So the 6 degrees of separation is a real scientific number. And that means that somebody knows somebody who knows your spirit mate. And so you have to leverage community. So the more people that you can meet, and I don't mean potential romantic dating partners, I mean the more people you can meet, old people, young people, all the colors of people, all the people from different backgrounds, the more friendlier you are, the more that you get out, the more that you entertain community, make community, that stands to reason that you are making that number smaller and smaller and smaller. And pretty soon, you're either going to just run right into your person or someone else is going to introduce you to them. That's what's going to happen.
I love that title of your upcoming book, Modern Dating Sucks, because that is just the attitude that I hear more and more about dating right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we obviously don't want that to be the attitude. We want it to be an exciting journey where we learn a lot and grow. But I know you have plenty of resources and you are a resource to so many people. So where could people find you if they're interested in your work?
They can find me at jackiedorman.com. That's my website. They can find me at Jackie Dorman Official on Instagram. Instagram is somewhere that I'm always hanging out. I have a lot of links in my bio there. There's a lot of DMing going on. You can DM me. I have a team that will respond. Sometimes I even respond. I'm the same on Facebook. I'm not on there very much, but Jackie Dorman Official on Facebook and Instagram. Let's see, where else can they find me? They can find all of my products at my website, jackiedorman.com. Yes. And that book comes out on September 9th. And yes, it's going to be
Wow,
so
that's
Married
really
12 Months or
soon.
Less is already out, but Modern Dating Sucks is coming out. And yeah, I think that's going to help a lot of people. And we're really talking in that book about a lot of the things that we're talking about here is how, modern dating sucks, but your love story doesn't have to. Like we can, with certain tools and resources and knowledge, we can make this season of our life, this single season of our life work for us.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being the guest today, Jackie. We're floored. We are amazed by you. Truly, we
Oh,
are.
thank you guys. I'm so glad to hang out with you guys.
Yes.
I feel like I'm 20 something still, so I'm like I like to hang out with young people. My kids are my
And
kids.
you
My
look it. I will say, Jackie, you look fantastic.
I know you
Oh,
So
look great.
thanks. Thank you.
we are just so honored by you being a guest on our podcast. And again, for all the listeners, we will list all of the places you can find her or contact her in the show notes. And on September 9th, we will add a link to her new book if you are interested to get more resources on that. And so thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you again, Jackie, for being with us. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.